Dear friends, I'm really happy to see you again in a new video, as I haven't posted any vlogs in a while due to work. I have been having a very busy period since the end of February, mainly with performances, recordings and so on. And the next month, as I see it, is going to be busy as well. However, I aim to keep up with the videos as much as I can. And with this being said, I will now insert the video that has been filmed before this break. I hope you find it useful, and I'm always looking forward to creating content for you. And if you have any topics in mind that you would like to suggest, feel free to do so. Now, let's get on to the video. Hello friends! Welcome back to a new video where I'm going to be sharing the steps in getting the right gear for starting learning the violin as a beginner. Please note the following general steps that I am about to mention in this vlog apply to any string instrument that produces sound through ball friction on its strings. Thinking about this video's topic, the following steps have come to my mind from my experience as a violinist and violin teacher. Number 1. Find your why and what motivates you in choosing this instrument. Establish your level of commitment to it according to your goals and lifestyle. Please note, the higher your commitment, the higher the level of playing you will achieve in the long run. Whether you want to do it for fun or as a career later on is your choice. However, both paths require regular practice and appropriate research where needed. Sometimes a pupil does not know which path to choose in the first place, or is not yet in a position to decide this for himself or herself yet, and that is okay. However, giving a proper goal to this experience will enable him or her to take the right decision later on. Number 2. Getting the right instrument size. For reference, please see the chart. Each instrument size has a specific bow and instrument case, and they all go together in the same package. Number 3. Buy the right instrument for you with all needed accessories. The tools that come together when ordering an instrument online or buying it in person from a music shop are the following: violin, bow, instrument case, and rosin. The tools that need to be purchased separately are more personalized depending on your case, and these are the shoulder rest, which needs to be bought in the same size as your instrument, and this can work very well for adults and children. Of course, when it comes to children, it depends on their age. Beyond the age of 6, a shoulder rest can work very well if it's not too high. Please bear in mind, shoulder rests are usually adjustable. Under the age of 6, a rubber band or a kitchen sponge with 2 elastic bands will do the job very well, temporarily until the child grows. And this brings me to the next item, which is either a rubber band or a kitchen sponge with 2 elastic bands that usually get attached to the back of the instrument on the area where the violin is held between the chin and the left shoulder. The next item is the fabric cloth, which is very useful for wiping the rosin dust from the instrument after each use. The mute is another useful item made of either metal or rubber, and is usually placed on the bridge of the instrument for the purpose of damping the vibrations of the wood and reducing the sound volume of the instrument as a consequence. There are different types of mutes for different purposes. The most common is the small circular rubber one, which usually rests on the 2 middle strings behind the instrument's bridge and is usually used in ensemble playing when the music requires quieter sound volume and a more delicate sound timbre. This is very useful in performances as it is mobile and it can be taken on and off when needed. The metal mute gives either a more metallic or a deeper timbre to the sound and does not rest on the strings of the instrument. Instead, it can be put directly on the bridge and taken off when needed. I personally love to use this type of mute when playing solo, as it offers a deeper sound, and for me this is ideal. The practice mute is bigger in size and designed to stamp the vibrations of the instrument to a much higher level. It is used for practicing in places with as minimal sound as possible, like hotel rooms or some backstage places right before performances and so on. This mute can be made of metal or rubber, and like the previous mute that I've just presented, it does not rest on any string. Instead, it is directly put on the bridge of the instrument. Another item that can be purchased separately is the peg compound that looks pretty much like a lipstick. Once applied to the violin's pegs, it prevents them from slipping while tuning the instrument. It basically helps the pegs stay in place when dealing with smaller instruments. Another item that is frequently used in practice sessions is the metronome, which was once a mechanical item and now an electronic device that can also be found in digital format, either by accessing a link or downloading a specific app. The metronome produces a loud sound when beating the so-called heartbeat of the music. It can be used as a frequent tool in practicing a piece of music on a steady beat and, as a consequence, on a steady speed, or it can be used in checking an indicated speed on a piece of music. Both ways can go hand in hand and have their own advantages depending on how they are used, but I will not dive into that subject as it is a totally different topic. The so-called brother of the metronome is the tuner, which again is an electronic device that indicates the pitch of each string when tuning the instrument. In my opinion, the purpose of this device is somehow derived from the use of the old tuning fork. It basically helps the pupil to know when a string is in tune or not. I personally do not use a tuner, as I believe more in training the hearing instead of relying on a green light flashed on an electronic device. However, it needs to be mentioned that hearing training takes longer. The reason why I wanted this item to be on the list is for pure awareness about it. Following this list, here are some answers to some questions a beginner might have. Why is rosin needed? Rosin is in fact solidified fir tree resin, which is a necessary ingredient that enables the bow's hair to produce sound on the instrument strings through friction. The way rosin is applied on the bow can be seen in this video excerpt. Please note, once rosin is applied to the hair of the bow, it becomes sticky and dusty. Which brings me to the next question. How do I take care of the bow? By ensuring you avoid touching the hair of the bow, as skin can take the rosin dust out of the hair, causing the bow to slip more on the strings, producing less sound as a consequence, and making fingers feel sticky, which ultimately causes unwanted interruptions during lessons or practice sessions. Also, ensure you keep your instrument and bow in their case as much as possible. Avoid leaving them on the floor or anywhere else where they could easily be stepped on. How do I take care of my instrument? Again, by keeping it in its case as much as possible, even during a practice session break. I would also avoid sudden motions when holding the instrument on my shoulder and have enough room around me while practicing to avoid touching other objects with the scroll of my instrument. How do I buy the right shoulder rest for me? The shoulder rest should be exactly the same size as your desired violin or viola. When buying it online, please double check the description of your desired shoulder rest to ensure it is suitable for your instrument's size. Please note shoulder rests are adjustable, so for example a quarter size shoulder rest could also be adjusted from its screws to suit a half size instrument. And with this being said, this video ends here. If you have any other questions that have not been listed here, feel free to write them in the comment section. Take care and I will see you in the next video.